Good morning, Gemini. This is going to be your December video. I ordered these cards. I thought I was getting Oracle cards, and they are called Clow cards. They're actually from the anime series Card Captor. So I guess there's like a completely different way of like reading these cards and setting them up and whatnot. But I've just been treating them like I would, the tarot or the oracle cards, and just reading them intuitively. So I've been using this deck for my readings this month. So with that being said, I will go ahead and get started pulling cards. Hope everybody's well. I did post, I have a new website for my products and for my readings. Be sure and check it out. I had posted it on the channel last week. I was real excited about it. I am not real technological, and I somehow figured out how to do it on my own. Squarespace is very, very user-friendly, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. All right. Cards for Gemini. Cards for Gemini. Come on. Oh, we had a couple turnover. And this one's trying to come out. All right, I had to hold on to it. So the first one that we have is the bubbles. So the first thing that's really come up for me with this card is kind of being socially isolated, kind of being away from people right now, being very introverted, and a lot of people have been this way this year with the pandemic and, with the shutdowns or whatever. Some of us who are, introverts anyway, we've really enjoyed it. But for people who are naturally extroverted, this can cause, depression, anxiety, whatnot. But basically with this bubbles card, I'm getting that sense of being very socially isolated, possibly even having some depression behind it. And really needing to kind of step outside your comfort zone. Sometimes we have to kind of make ourselves do things, especially when, we feel like we've been stuck for a while. And so basically with this card, you're being asked to find something to do. And even, if there are not a lot of things open right now, that you can do, I mean, like pretty much like the movies or whatnot, these kind of things are like from like 2019, going out on dates, going out to dinner or whatever. These things have been very difficult this year. But nature's always open, nature's always free, the park's always open, going for a drive. And there's so much focus right now on social distancing and on not spending time with family members, because of, this virus or whatnot. Don't let the fear of this year, that energy of fear, don't let that take over and make you miss out on what is important. We have the cloud. Basically with the cloud, the energy that I'm picking up on right here is almost like that cloud that's, over your head. It's almost like, it's what I call the Eeyore energy. Anyone who's familiar with Winnie the Pooh, with the little blue donkey or whatever he is. That kind of, oh, woe is me. that real depressed, real gray, real blue energy, because there's a lot of depression that's coming out in this reading. And like I said, I feel like a lot of it has to do with that social isolation. It also has to do with your thinking, being too much inside of your head. Geminis tend to do a lot of thinking, a lot of overthinking. They're very logical. They're the most logical sign. Thinking and, analytics are very important to the Gemini. And so this can really affect your mood, because feelings are a result of thoughts. So if you can really manage your thoughts and shift from like maybe negative thinking to more positive thinking, or just stop thinking so damn much. I mean, overthinking is really a hard thing to get over, because the more you try not to think, the more you do, which is why meditation is really important, because when you meditate, you're really able to clear your head, kind of get out of your head for a while. And make sure that, you are not, and I'm not taking away from substances, because, I love my weed, and I'm not saying, like alcohol is bad, or like, marijuana is bad or anything like that. But make sure you're not using it as like a crutch right now. I mean, this is not judgment. Sometimes you have to kind of back off those things so you can ground yourself. And grounding is very important, because when you ground yourself in a physical reality, in the present moment. And so sometimes those type of substances make it really hard to practice presence and really being in the now, because, you're, in another dimension. You're on like a whole other level. And like I said, I'm not taking away from that, but sometimes it's time to kind of pull it back and ground yourself, and that will really help. The fly. We have the fly. So basically, and understand this is a collective reading, and this isn't going to resonate with everybody. If you'd like to have a personal reading, do reach out to me. My personal readings are $30. This is a collective Gemini reading, but basically the energy that I'm getting with this fly this is like the fly on the wall, the proverbial fly on the wall, of really trying to find out, really trying to see possibly even what somebody else is doing, maybe watching somebody on social media, watching their story, maybe even physically driving by their house. But this right here, there's an element of control, behind this card. And understand, control is just an illusion. No, we don't have control. The universe does. But there is a certain element of, I wouldn't say stalking, but curiosity and interest in what somebody else is doing, trying to find out, maybe even spying on somebody. And like I said, no judgment here. We've all been there. And so you're really being asked to kind of shift that focus back to you, because this is contributing to this bubble and this cloud energy of, that depression that you have, but from like the overthinking and, being this detective and trying to figure things out. And understand, whenever you go and try to figure things out, you're creating stories. Because it could you have to learn to tell yourself it could just as easily be something else besides what I think it is. There's many possibilities. All right, we have the dash. Basically with this dash, I almost got this image of, like some of the videos I've made, I've actually interpreted this as like, this fast movement, almost like this chariot energy from like the tarot deck. But I'm almost picking up on like the punctuation, like the dash. And what happens, like in English language, and I don't know if, all of you are native English speakers or not, but when you use a dash or you like hyphenate something, you're adding to it. So this is kind of like an add-on energy. I was thinking about, when women get married and they hyphenate their name because they are trying to hold on to their identity and not lose themselves in their relationship and their marriage, whatnot. So they add on instead of replacing. So this is basically the energy that I'm picking up on, to add on instead of replace. Well, sometimes we have to actually replace instead of adding on. And it's that fear of loss, it's that fear of change that kind of keeps us stuck. Because you want to keep that status quo, and I'm not taking away from anyone who hyphenates their name. It's just an example. Sometimes we absolutely have to let go of something in order to see if it's for us, to see if it comes back, instead of actually adding on to it. Because it's almost like this energy of like reconstruction, remodeling, and I'm not taking away from that either. But sometimes we have to completely start new. We have to start fresh. And so that is the message that's coming in. Stop trying to make things fit. Stop trying to patch things up. Stop trying to, get your first aid kit and patch it up and keep using it. Sometimes we have to throw broken things away. Sometimes you just do. Sometimes in order for like new things to come in. Because, when you hold on to something so tightly, you're not allowing space for something new to come in. That is the energy I'm getting with this card. Because we have the Create card. And this was what I was talking about earlier about creating. There's always many options as far as what something can be. But we as humans, we like to judge everything. We see something, we want to size it up, we want to sum it up, we want to analyze it, we want to figure it out, we want to add meaning to it. And you're really being asked to kind of pull back a little bit and stop doing that, because you're creating. And so sometimes it's best to just have a blank slate, because if we have a blank slate, then the universe can work its magic, so to speak, and you kind of release that control, and you're in more of like this place of surrender where things can happen, because that co-creative energy is actually in that unknown void of not knowing. And the more you try to know and the more you try to figure out, the more you prevent what it is you're really trying to manifest, because you don't want to add too many details to what you're trying to create. Because, let's say, for example, what it is that you're trying to manifest, you're like, got it in your head, I want it to show up in my driveway, whatever your heart's desire, driving a purple VW bug, I'm just making up some shit, on a Tuesday at 9 a.m. This is the only way I see this happening. I can't see it happening any other way. Well, maybe that's not how it's supposed to happen. And so you have limited the universe to delivering your heart's desire, whatever it is you want, to that one particular set of circumstances. Maybe, it's supposed to, show up in a Honda, silver Honda on like Friday at noon. I'm just saying, so like make sure that you're not adding too many details to it. All right, the fight. Everything is not a fight. This is something I recently have. I'm actually still working on this. How many times do you have a situation come up that you think that you have to fight your way through it? Or that, people are, against you, or they're not for you, or anytime something happens, you might take it personally. It might be like a blow to your ego. And when that happens, you're like, so then you feel like you have to go fight. Everything's not a fight. People are our mirrors. They reflect back to us qualities in ourselves that we either admire or we have denied. So anytime a situation comes up, you have to look at it. You have to be like, okay, is this quality that has shown up in this person? And, if it's like a positive quality, it's usually a person you admire. If it's, a so-called negative quality, that's a person you don't like. Well, whatever it is they're showing you is something that you have. And that's what it's for. It's not for a battle. It's not for like this ego win, like you got to be right. I've got to be right. Because you don't always have to be right, especially not since you know that it is a universal way of showing you what qualities you have. All right, we have the Libra. I have not gotten this card yet, but when I got this deck, I thought, how in the world am I going to read this card, Libra? I actually have gotten it one other time. So maybe, just maybe, you're involved with a Libra. My moon sign is actually Libra. I'm a Scorpio. My sun sign is a Scorpio. So I'm aware of some of these Libra qualities. So maybe you're involved with a Libra. Now, from what I know and what I've dealt with Libras, because I, make these videos, they can be a little judgmental. They can be a little, and once again, this kind of goes along with those qualities that are reflective. So maybe these are some qualities that somebody's reflecting back to you. Maybe this person is a Libra. They can be a little judgmental and a little closed-minded. It's really kind of hard for them to kind of step out of their comfort zone and try new things. They kind of get stuck there. So, maybe these are some qualities of Libra that you have taken on. Maybe you have Libra somewhere in your chart, but that is why this card is showing up. The Big. One of our responsibilities as divine beings having human experiences is to collapse duality. That is like the main purpose for creation. That is the main purpose why we're here, why we were created, is to collapse this duality. Because when we were, which we still are, part of the universe, we are universal, each and every one of us, but now we're in physical form. But before we were in physical form, there was not duality. There was only one. There was only all of us collectively as the universe, as this source of love. That's what we were until, the Big Bang, and now we have all these particles, and now each and every one of us is a piece of the universe experiencing itself. So to make a long story short, without going into like all the physics behind it, with this Big card, basically the energy that I'm getting here is, that judgment of, is this good? Is this bad? Is this little? Is this big? Left, right, up, down. All of these belong to that whole collective idea of duality, that illusion that we took on, that illusion of separation, that everything is separate, that we need to judge, we need to label everything, we need to figure everything out. And like I said, is this little, is this big? The first thing you do, when you meet somebody or you experience something, you go to a new place, you start looking around, and, from your past experiences, you have these judgments. If you'd never had those experiences, you'd never have those judgments. So you're really being asked to look at what ways that you kind of judge and label the things as good or bad. Not everything that you label as good is good, and not everything that you label as bad is bad. It just is. And just like I was saying, like, for example, with this fight, with people reflecting to you what you need to learn about yourself. It might come in a situation that seems bad, but is it really? Especially not if it's showing you something. So we have the Power card. And all of these things that I have said here is how you step into your power. This is how you raise your consciousness. This is how you develop your co-creative power. By taking your power back from others who you consider to have some kind of influence or power over you, who render you powerless. That's not the case, because each and every one of us have that co-creative power where we can create whatever reality we want by what we believe. So if you believe contrary to that, if you believe otherwise, then you need to go in and you need to look at what kind of blocks you have to really realizing this and really stepping into that power. Sakura, this is a little girl in Cardcaptor. And that's actually the name of the card, is Sakura. And like I said, you notice here that she has the sun and the moon. She is fully in her power. She has the power of the sun and the moon. Now, the sun is all about, this positive energy. In fact, you get the sun card in the tarot deck. It's the most positive card in the deck. I mean, if you get the sun card, that you're going to have a very positive outcome. Well, the moon is all about illusions. It's all about things happening behind the scenes that you can't see. It's all about, mystery. It's that dark void where creation happens. And you really need both of them. You need, your light side and your shadow side. You need to incorporate the two. And the way that you incorporate the two is by getting to know yourself better. We have this subconscious side, this shadow, which is why people are so reflective to us, to show us that, because oftentimes we can't see it ourselves. And you have to love things about yourself, even things that you deem to be negative or bad. You have to love them. You have to incorporate them, because we're collapsing duality. We're stepping into our power, our co-creative power, and we're realizing that, we just are. It just is everything. And we don't have to try and figure it out, create a story around it. We can just look at it. We can just be the observer. We can be like, okay, all right, well, this is shown up to show me this. Now that I see it, I'm aware of it, I'm conscious of it, so now it's in my light side. It's no longer in the shadow. I brought it out into the light, brought it out into the sunlight from this moonlight, and now I know what it is, and just being conscious and just being aware of it is enough. And also an added message as far as like this person that you're kind of keeping an eye on. Like I said, not only are you creating, but people can kind of feel that. That's an energy that people can feel, they can pick up on. And it's very repulsive. You want to attract somebody to you. Be about your business. Be about your way. Sorry, it's so loud in here today. Be very self-focused, working on you. And take your focus away from other people, take that power back from other people, and watch what happens. I'm sorry it's so loud in here today, but thank you, Gemini.